State Affairs with Bello is live.
Okay, let's read Babaginda's book. Babangida wrote his autobiography that was released to the public recently. The book is entitled A Journey in Service, an Autobiography by Ibrahim Babaginda, Nigeria's head of state from 1985 to 1993. I'll try and read everything he wrote. He entitles this page, that's page 211. There's a subtitle here, The Gideon Orkar Coup. So Babangida said on the 22nd of April 1990, yet another military coup took place in the history of our administration. I must confess that what became known as the Orkar coup hit me as a rude surprise. As was my usual daily routine, I saw off the last set of visitors to my Dodan Barracks residence after 1 a.m. Ahead of retiring to bed, I flipped through the various channels on the television to catch up on late news. I retired to bed without finding anything to arrest and keep my interest. The family was innocently asleep. My wife, who had gone to use the bathroom, rushed back to me to report that she had noticed some unusual movement on the premises outside. The troop movement and formations she had noticed were unusual in the security protocol of the residential part of the Dodan Barracks. I stood up to have a look. I noticed, as she had done, that troops that may not be part of the guard details of the residence were taking up strategic positions. I alerted my guards, who had already seen what was going on. Very shortly afterwards, small arms firing commenced. It targeted the residence and office quarters as window panes began to shatter. This was followed by heavy artillery bombardment of the residential quarters. Babangida continues in his book. He says, from that point, my ADC, Lieutenant Colonel U.K. Bello, took charge. He had not been taken by surprise. Soon afterwards, the coup plotters were all over the place. They tried to invade the residence, but were delayed and repelled by the guards formation of soldiers and state security officers. I had some of the best. My guards did what they were trained to do best, to protect me, the family, as their primary subject. They recognized that my safety and those of my immediate family were of topmost priority. Even against my stubborn insistence that I was not leaving my residence for any reason, the boys succeeded in extracting me and the family in separate units to safe houses far from our residence, which had now been reduced to virtual rubble. Babangida continues. Lieutenant Colonel U.K. Bello and the boys moved to engage the disloyal soldiers. In the process of moving to deploy the military tank located near the residence, U.K. Bello discovered that the rebel soldiers had earlier sabotaged the vehicle and it could not be used to return the fire of the coup plotters. Loyal troops nonetheless engaged the coup makers, while military communication and signals rallied loyal forces. The critical command was put on alert. General Sani Abacha took control of the loyal forces as necessary and constantly communicated progress in the operation to foil the coup to me in my safe location. We had failed the coup and were in the process of neutralizing the disloyal troops and their allies. Babangida says, while the treasonable broadcast of the coup plotters was running on FRCN, the military operation to counter the coup and neutralize the plot was in full force. He says by the late morning on 22nd of April, the coup had been successfully feared. The treasonous broadcast on the radio was replaced by sustained martial music. The disloyal troops were on the run in different locations, first around Lagos and later in other adjoining locations, mostly in and around Lagos. Different military formations around the country pledged their continuing loyalty and allegiance to the federal military government under my leadership. Arrests were being made as instant investigations were taking place, and the rebels were being rounded up and arrested. Babangida in his book says that by the late afternoon, we addressed the nation, reassuring all of the president's safety and the liquidation of the coup attempt. I was saddened by the revelation of some of the coup rig leaders. I had known many of them personally and helped them in their careers and personal affairs. He says, Orkar had frequently visited from his base at Shaki in Oyo State. I had on occasion instructed General Maman Kontagora, the then Minister of Works, to help Gideon Orkar fix a precarious bridge near his base and repair the road leading there. Colonel Inyam was a regular communicator with Dodan Barracks, and he used to write in with his suggestions on national issues, which were duly appreciated. Babangida continues, as the investigation proceeded, I could not help but reflect on the content of the coup plotters' broadcast. The laughable idea of sacking 5 states of the Federation, the attempt to meddle in the Sokoto Sultanate, and the ridiculous accusations against the Armed Forces Ruling Council and myself. Happily, the informed populace condemned these laughable and adolescent accusations and proposals. You want to read more of Babangida's narrative of what happened that night? You can pick up his book, A Journey in Service, an autobiography. You'll find this book on udarabooks.com. On udarabooks.com. You can make inquiries through my WhatsApp number. That is 080 999 18449.
Did you like that coup? No, I think it was stupid to want to excise any part of Nigeria. At that time, we were all calling for change. All the radicals in Nigeria were calling for one change or the other. We were very unhappy with Babangida's regime. But for some people to come and then, interestingly, after the coup, I traveled to all the state excise to go and talk to their leaders. They were so annoyed. They didn't know anybody could even have that kind of idea. And I think that idea itself led to the failure
of the coup.
Because people now rallied to save Nigeria rather than to save. It was not to save Babangida and his government, but to save Nigeria. That was how they rallied.
But Babangida was rattled.
He was terribly rattled. And he said so when I met him later that the 2 things that gave him sleepless nights was the Orkar coup and the phenomenon of your journalism. So, but again later, I traveled to America. Many of the coup plotters, particularly the ones from from Delta State. A lot of them are from Delta State officers. Fled. They had alternative plan. People like Orkar just went in headlong. They didn't have alternative plan. As soon as the team failed, these ones just fled Nigeria, and then they found themselves in America. So they got to America, they went to register in school. Many of them became medical doctors, became professors. So I also gave myself an assignment to go and search them out.
Did you interview Ogboru?
Yes, I interviewed Ogboru.
He was the financier, right?
Yes, he was the financier, yes. Selling fish at that time. I interviewed, there is a Major Mukoro, who later became a professor in the University of Mississippi. I traveled all the way to Mississippi. Initially, he didn't trust me. But when we started talking and all of that, then big interest in me, and even said he now offered me a room in his house to sleep. And I had a long interview with him, which I published. And so many others like that across the United States who have changed their life to academics or medical doctor or whatever. So I did a thorough story on that too, coming back.
State Affairs with Bello is live.